So earlier we had some Vulture concept art that highlighted some of the scenes and slight changes that were made right before the final actual design showed up. Now this time we're talking about a bunch of conceptual art, all focusing on Spider-Man himself. So the first one is going to be a back shot of Spider-Man looking to his left. Honestly, this suit pretty much remains unchanged from what we saw in Civil War, although there does seem to be a little bit of a black inside design, I want to say. I don't know how to explain it on the back of the spider, and we know that he's going to have like a parachute like device, so maybe that's what this is. But maybe they just didn't want to represent it like that. After that, we have another one of Spider-Man jumping down. It seems to be like he's flying through some feathers or something, or maybe debris. But if you look closely at the arm, this is a slightly different design, as the black is carrying a little bit more prominently down the arms and everything. It's not too significant of a change from what we had in Civil War. It's just a slight alteration, but I think they just more or less decided to go with the way it was in Civil War. After that, we have another shot of a Spidey lowering himself down, probably what looks to be some sort of like elevator shaft or something with glass that looks to the outside, you know, those glass elevators on the side of buildings. A very cool shot right here, if I do say so. I really like what they're doing. It looks a lot more comic book-like, and of course underneath him you can see the web that he's put down there. I don't think this has any bearing on anything in the movie, quite honestly. With that one out of the way, the next one is a concept art of him fighting the so-called Avenger criminals that are all in the bank. You can still see that this is more or less the same shot that we saw in the trailer. It's just, conceptual art, so it's got to kind of sell you the entire scene in one image. So, more or less everything you need to know about that scene is right here. Then now we finally have a heads-up display of Spider-Man and the system diagnostic and everything in his suit. If you look around his arm, it definitely seems to be a, Tony Stark inspired visual aid. He even has like CPU and stuff, which I'm assuming will deal with how much damage he's taken and how if the suit is overheating or anything like that. Just the minor stuff that's in the suit kind of being on visual display. And as we know, this is definitely an early concept art because it doesn't look like this in the actual movie. Then we have another concept art which highlights the slight changes they've made to that suit he's currently wearing. If you look at it, the web shooter seems a little bit more silver and it's not so prominent around the wrists. It's almost just like a clip-on. It doesn't wrap all the way around. The actual suit itself has a lot of, blue on it. If you specifically look around the arms, it's removed a lot of that red that was very prominent and still is very prominent. And some of the shading just seems to have a little bit more of a silver tint other than a black one. And it also does seem to be raised webbing. And the last one shows us a UI interface that is on top of his web shooter. As you can see, this seems to have way more of a traditional cell phone-like look, with the apps and everything, as opposed to what we saw that kind of shoots out onto the wall. I'm assuming there still will be a variant of this in the movie, just not like this. And if you look at the bottom, he actually has a web search and everything, so that's kind of interesting. Overall, I do like these conceptual arts, and it shows us what could have been and what leads to the final designs that we see in the trailers and the movies.